Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first ever Ice Age 40 deck making video. We've filled our 800 count storage box of Ice Age cards pretty well this year. We've opened up 36 booster packs of the Ice Age Jester's Cap packs. We also opened up this starter deck, got a Darkar Wastes in it. And so we, as promised, we're gonna build an Ice Age 40 deck. We did a quick research on the internet. I Googled Ice Age 40. I couldn't find anything, so I don't think anyone has come up with this format yet. I did find that the definition of the current Ice Age, the present Ice Age began 40 million years ago with the growth of an ice sheet in Antarctica. So I thought that was pretty cool. Maybe there's some correlation between the 40 million years of the current Ice Age and Magic's the Gathering Ice Age set. I'm not sure, but that's a sign that we're on the right path, I think. Some people also asked if we are on the brink of a new Ice Age, and also when will the next Ice Age happen. I'm not really a scientist or an expert on those areas, so I can't advise on the actual Ice Age. But what I can advise on is some Magic cards. And so we're gonna make a simple Ice Age 40 deck and see how it goes. We pulled out some of our blue sleeves. We're gonna start with the lands, the basic lands and non-basic lands. And so I figured we'll probably just make a blue-white deck, because we like our Darkar Wastes the best of all the lands. And blue-white is also what we play in Alpha 40. So, I mean, I guess keep it simple. You know, play to your strengths, play what you know. So we'll probably just start there and then expand out from there. So I thought maybe simple deck construction rules, 40 cards, seems pretty good. They gotta be all Ice Age, including the lands. And you can have, right now we're not gonna moderate any of the cards. We'll just say like 3 copies of any particular card is probably the max you can play. So Brainstorm is really good, but we'll just limit it to 3 copies. Swords to Plowshares is really good. We're gonna run 3 copies in Alpha 40, so let's run 3 copies in Ice Age 40, why not? Okay, and then we've got some artifacts. So I'll show you what's in this deck real quick. We'll sleeve it up, then we'll do a quick goldfish and see if it's actually playable. So a Darkar Waste, like I mentioned, this is a non-basic land that adds colorless mana to your mana pool. It also taps for white and does the damage, or it taps for blue and does the damage. So we'll put 3 copies of those. We've got a land cap because this also provides blue and white mana. So in decks that run 2 colors, sometimes it's helpful to have non-basic lands in case your mana curve isn't quite right. This gives you sort of like depletion counters, and then you remove those. Let's see here. If there's any depletion counters on land cap, it does not untap. So you don't want depletion counters on this, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you remove a depletion counter. And then, so every time you tap it for mana, you can tap it for white or blue. It gives a depletion counter. And then at the next upkeep, you take a counter off. Okay, so then for basic lands, we're gonna run 4 copies of Island. We'll have slightly more blue spells in this deck than white spells, but so we'll do 4 islands. We'll also do 4 snow-covered islands. I'm guessing that this is a non-basic land, so this would be limited to like 4 copies in any other Magic deck, so we'll just keep it to 4 in there. Then for plains, we'll need some white mana. We'll just do 2 basic plains and 2 snow-covered plains. These are the 2 arts that connect by Christopher Rush, so we'll just use those 4 white sources in the deck. And then this, a total of 16 lands. I really like using 16 lands in Alpha 40. So for Ice Age 40, we're gonna start with that as well. So we've got 3 Adarkar Wastes and 1 land cap, 4 islands, 4 snow-covered islands, 2 snow-covered plains, and 2 plains. That's 16 lands. Now for the blue spells, I have these sorted by casting costs, lower casting costs first for the good mana curves. We've got a Clairvoyance, which is 1 blue, lets you look at target player's hand and draw a card at the beginning of your next turn's upkeep. So draw spells are good. We also have Portent, 1 blue, look at the top 3 cards of target player's library. Either shuffle that library or put those 3 on the top in any order, then draw a card at the beginning of the next turn upkeep. So more draw spells. 3 copy of Brainstorm, probably the best instant in Ice Age. For 1 blue, you draw 3 cards, take 2 of them from your hand and put them in the top of your library in any order. So we'll do some brainstorming. We got Balduvian Conjurer, which is 1 colorless, 1 blue. Tap this to turn target snow-covered land into a 2/2 creature. So similar to Mishra's Factory, but we do have 6 snow-covered lands. So this might come into play. It's also a 0/2 wizard. And the target still counts as a land, but cannot be tapped for mana if it came into play this turn. And then we got 2 counter spells to just counter stuff. We also have a Deflection, which is kind of like a counter spell. It's 3 colorless and a blue, and targets a new legal target of your choice. 2 more blue cards. We have Illusions of Grandeur, which is one of the better cards in the set. 3 colorless and a blue. It has a cumulative upkeep of 2 colorless, which will come into play later here in this deck. And when Illusions of Grandeur comes into play, you gain 20 life. When Illusions of Grandeur leaves play, you lose 20 life. So effects that prevent or redirect damage cannot be used to counter the loss of life. So we want to make sure we don't lose any life after we cast Illusions of Grandeur. So one of the ways we're going to do that is we're going to play Polar Kraken, which is a 8 colorless, 3 blue, massive Kraken, 11/11 trample. It has a cumulative upkeep of sacrificing a land. So I also thought we're going to put in 3 copies of Zuron Orb, which is a 0-cost artifact. And for 0 to activate it, you sacrifice a land to gain 2 life. So I'm unsure if you can sacrifice, if they both trigger at the same time. If you sacrifice a land to pay the cumulative upkeep, you can also gain 2 life. We're going to try it that way and see if that's incorrect, but I'm assuming if you sacrifice, you sacrifice. So sacrifice a land for Polar Kraken, and because you have Zuron Orb on the table, you'd gain 2 life for every Zuron Orb that's in play. We'll try that anyway. We'll see how that goes. The white spells, we've got a unicorn. We love the art of this unicorn. It costs 1 colorless, 2 white, and you can tap it to add either a blue or a blue and a colorless mana to your mana pool. This mana is usable only for cumulative upkeep, and you can play it as an interrupt. So we had to have some other spells that have casting costs upkeep. That would be the Illusions of Grandeur. The cumulative upkeep for this card is 2 colorless. So if we had a Adarkar Unicorn in play, we could tap the Unicorn for 1 blue and 1 colorless, and then pay our cumulative upkeep for Illusions of Grandeur. So that's our first white spell. We also have Aronson's Aura, 2 colorless and a white, is an enchantment. It's a blue-white-ish card. So you pay a white to sacrifice an enchantment to destroy target enchantment, or you can pay 3 blue and 3 colorless and 2 blue to counter target enchantment. I just threw that in there because it has white and blue in the activation cost, so it would play well in this white-blue deck. 1 copy of Disenchant to destroy any of our enchantments. Like if we wanted to get rid of Illusions of Grandeur on our side, we could disenchant it. Swords to Plowshare, remove cards from the game. Controller of those creatures gains power toughness equal to gains life equal to the power. So we could Swords to Plowshare as our own Polar Kraken if we wanted to gain 11 life and stop like discarding lands. And then the last 3 artifacts that can be played with either blue or white is Barbed Sextant, sacrifice Barbed Sextant to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. This will be helpful in a multicolor deck. Despotic Scepter, bury target permanent you own, so you could bury the Illusions of Grandeur, you could bury Polar Kraken, and 1 copy of Jester's Cap, because it was the greatest card in Ice Age at the time. 4 colorless to cast, and then 2 colorless and tap to activate. You look through a target player's library and remove any 3 cards from the game, and then reshuffle their library afterwards. So we're gonna put those in blue sleeves for playware. We're gonna put those in blue sleeves, and we'll play those. For the sake of time today, we're just gonna shuffle these up old school style. Some of these cards are played, so I'm not too concerned about the condition of this Ice Age 40 deck, but we will put it, after this little goldfish, we'll put it in these blue sleeves so that you can preserve it, and we can actually play these casually. At local meetups, we might bring these and play some of these. So I'd say the total cost from this deck is probably less than $100. We can also try to do our rifle shuffling like that. Do not try this at home if you're afraid of shuffling cards. I think this was one of the more common methods of shuffling back in the day. It does cause some damage on the side of the cards if you're not too careful. But that's pretty good. That's going to be a good shuffle for today's exercise. We'll just cut the deck into like 3 piles like we were playing on webcam, and then we'll stack them like that. So we'll start by drawing 7 cards to see how the inaugural Ice Age 40 deck looks and works. So we have plains, snow-covered plains, plains. We have 1 snow-covered island. That is perfect. So we're gonna start by playing a land. I'm not sure if they go first or if we go first, but we're gonna play a snow-covered island. So there we can either play Portent or Brainstorm. Let's go with Brainstorm. That just seems like the best way to do it. All right, so we're gonna cast Brainstorm, draw 3 cards, and then take 2 cards from your hand and put them on top of your library in order. So we'll do 1, 2, 3. And then we gotta put 2 on top of the library in any order. I feel like we got 2 Balduvian Conjurers. Let's put Brainstorm back like that. Okay, this Brainstorm goes in the graveyard. We'll pass the turn with 6 cards. They'll play cards. We'll get another turn. Ice Age, awesome. And then we'll start by drawing. This should be a Brainstorm. Correct, we got a Brainstorm. Let's play a land. Let's play a snow-covered plains. And then we still need some more islands, I believe. Maybe not yet, but we can disenchant something. We can also cast. Let's go ahead and tap Snow-Covered Island for blue, Snow-Covered Plains for colorless. Let's cast Balduvian Conjurer. 0/2 Wizard. You can also tap to make snow-covered lands 2/2 creatures until the end of turn. So we have 2 snow-covered lands. This is a really great card. We will pass the turn. We will untap, we'll draw. This should be another Balduvian Conjurer like that. Look at that, we got one. Okay, let's play another Snow-Covered Plains. That works well with Balduvian Conjurer. Let us, we'll move to combat, but we're gonna tap Balduvian Conjurer. We're gonna make this Snow-Covered Plains a 2/2, and then we're gonna attack with that. Then we're gonna tap blue and a colorless, and we're gonna cast another Balduvian Conjurer, just like that. Then we'll pass the turn with 4 cards, just like that. Okay. their turn. Ultimately, you want to get Polar Kraken in play with a Zuron Orb, but that will take many, many turns. We'll draw a card. We have Counterspell. Let's play a land. We'll play a basic Plains. We could also Brainstorm again. Let's do this way though. Let's tap these two Balduvian Conjurers. Let's make these two Snow-Covered Plains 2/2 creatures, and we'll swing for 4. We could pretend you're playing a creatureless deck. They'll be down to 14 right now. And then at the end of the turn, we're going to tap this blue. We're going to cast Brainstorm. We're going to draw 3 cards. Awesome. Let's get rid of, let's put Disenchant and Arson's Aura on the top of the library. And then Brainstorm goes into the graveyard. It's their turn. We'll pass it over here. I really like Balduvian Conjurer with these snow-covered lands. That's actually a pretty awesome interaction. We got a snow-covered island, another one. We'll draw a turn. Aronson's Aura. We knew that was coming. This lets us sacrifice an enchantment to destroy target enchantment. We don't have any enchantments. It can also counter target enchantment, which may not be helpful. Let's play the snow-covered island. We can also play the Zuron Orb for 0. And then we can also sacrifice lands to gain 2 life if we need to. So now we have enough blue to play Counterspell if we need to counterspell anything. We also have Portent, which lets us look at the top 3 cards of the target player's library, then either shuffle that library or put those 3 cards on the top of the library in any order, then draw a card at the next upkeep. So let's make our snow-covered plains creatures again, and let's attack again for 4. So that would put them at 10, and then we're going to tap snow-covered island for blue. We're going to play Portent. We're going to look at the top 3 cards of our library. And we got Jester's Cap, Land Cap, and Disenchant. Those are pretty good. We either shuffle the library or put those 3 cards on the top of the library in any order, and then you draw a card at the next upkeep. So let's go ahead, let's do it this way. We'll put Land Cap on top, Jester's Cap next, then Disenchant. We'll put them on the top of our library. We will pass the turn. On their upkeep, we'll draw a card. So we drew Land Cap, pretty cool. And we pass the turn. Can't play Counterspell if we needed to, but we'll untap, draw for turn. We have Jester's Cap. Well, let's go ahead and play our Land Cap. There's Land Cap. We can tap it for mana of white or blue, and then we put a depletion counter on it. Let's go ahead and do the attack. We're going to tap these 2 Balduvian Conjurers. We're going to tap those 2 snow-covered plains, attack for 4, put them at 6. Let's go ahead and tap 4. Colorless, we're going to play Jester's Cap. And then this land has a depletion counter on it. And then next turn we'll be able to untap it. Okay. We have Counterspell, Aronson's Aura. We pass the turn. Then they do cards on our turn. What can we do? I think we can untap this. Double check. So we're going to remove a depletion counter from Land Cap, and then that lets it untap. Oh no, so that stays tapped. At the beginning of the upkeep, we remove the depletion counter. So there's no depletion counters on that anymore. But we'll tap the 2 Balduvian Conjurers. We will activate these 2 snow-covered plains, make them 4/4s. We'll put our opponent at 2, and then we'll pass the turn. And then let's pretend that they play a spell. We're going to tap 2. We're going to play this counter spell counter their spell. Then we'll move to our turn. We will untap our lands. The land cap does not have a depletion counter anymore, so we will untap the land cap. And then we'll draw a card. We have Disenchant and Aaronson's Aura. I think we're going to Balduvian Conjure, attack for the win. For fun, let's tap Plains and a snow-covered island for 2. We're gonna tap Jester's Cap. We're gonna sacrifice Jester's Cap to look through target player's library and remove any 3 cards from the game. So we'll, I don't know, pretend they're playing white, you know, we'll look through their deck. We'll take out Cold Snap, Disenchant, and maybe Energy Storm. We'll take those out. We'll shuffle their deck so they can't counter our stuff. And then we can probably also tap a let's tap land cap for white, and then snow cover island for colorless. We're gonna disenchant something on there. Get rid of one of their artifacts, and then we're gonna tap 2 Balduvian Conjurers, activate the 2 snow covered plains, and swing for 4. And that was pretty good. The target still counts as a land, but cannot be tapped for mana if it came into play. Yeah, right. So we're just using those as 2/2 creatures. Aaronson's Aura was okay. Jester's Cap was, in theory, good. These land bases, this land base was pretty good. I do like the snow-covered lands with the Conjurers. We did not get Polar Kraken out or needed to Swords of Plowshare. Perhaps it wasn't shuffled the best. But we'll put these cards into these sleeves like this. And then, so for the next Ice Age 40 demonstration, we'll have our cards all sleeved up. And maybe try a different color deck, maybe do monocolored. Let me know, what decks would you play in Ice Age 40 if you could build a deck with 40 Ice Age cards? Let me know in the comments below. Appreciate all the likes and subscribes if you like getting daily videos like this in your feed every morning. A lot of fun just making these decks up and seeing how they work. So appreciate everybody. Have a great day. Catch you in another Ice Age 40 deck making video.